Good morning, wonderful people. Welcome to my channel. We are doing the D10 series of career related astrology, jobs, career, your promotions, your business, etc., etc., etc. So before we get started, thank you for your likes, shares, and subscribes. We are in the 12th nakshatra of Uttara Phalguni. We are dissecting it nakshatra by nakshatra. Before I get started, my content in my channel is best watched on a tablet like iPad or a desktop, because then you'll be able to see all the text that I keep giving out and all the presentations. This is a presentation style Vedic astrology for all those who are keen on exploring it. Okay, so let's get started. Uttara Phalguni comes between Leo and Virgo. We will deal with the most dominant in this nakshatra, which is the Virgo. As I put this stuck in there, the sign of Leo and of Virgo, but we will deal with Virgo part of Uttara Phalguni for the purposes of this discussion. What are the talents and abilities that those ladies and gents in the picture bring to the table? Number one, leadership and management. They may excel in managerial and leadership roles. They may thrive as team leaders, executives, department heads, or in positions that require making strategic decisions and managing teams. Good one for all you corporate honchos out there. Okay, before we get into the next one, what are the planets that you should be looking for Uttara Phalguni in order to make a decision whether you are good at leadership and management? Not everybody is. Let's face it, not everybody is bound to be a leader. Stop hanging carrots in front of youngsters to think you have to become a leader, that's your goal. No. Some of us are here just to be workers, like Moa, like myself. Okay? Well, I did leadership, but that's another story. So, leadership requires, in Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, it requires Mercury, it requires Sun, and it requires Venus placements and the aspects thereof, which we will see ascendant by ascendant, because Uttara Phalguni appears in different houses and different ascendants. And we, like before, we had to see the ascendant nakshatras as well. So for leadership and management in Uttara Phalguni, it may be about Mercury, Sun, and Venus. Next on our list, creative professions. They may have a talent for creative professions. They may excel as actors, artists, writers, musicians, designers, or in roles that involve creative expression and aesthetic sensibility. The planets we should be looking for that: Venus, Mars, Mercury, and Rahu. Creative professions could do very well with Rahu presence there in generally, even the fifth or the ninth aspect of Rahu also, looking at it. These planets in Uttara Phalguni and Rahu looking at them from the fifth or ninth aspect also, yes, could help. Why? Because Rahu is unconventionally creative. And he's like the OCD creature, so he will definitely go after it. Next one on our list is event planning and hospitality. They may excel in event planning and hospitality careers, resorts, hotels, managing shows, managing rock shows, managing all kinds of events, really speaking. They may thrive as event coordinators, wedding planners, hospitality managers, hotel managers, even resort managers, spa managers, or in roles that involve organizing and managing events and gatherings. So we are talking about a collective here, aren't we? So the planets we should be looking at for these in Uttara Phalguni, by the way, this changes. As you change the nakshatra, the number of kind of planets changes, so don't be surprised. We are looking in Uttara Phalguni, Jupiter, Venus, and Sun. Sun is more about the collective energy also, right? Fame is all about Sun. So in this case, Jupiter and fifth and ninth aspects of Jupiter as well. And Venus, because Venus is about hospitality, Venus is about caring for others. That sensibility comes from Venus. Okay, it doesn't come from Sun, it doesn't come from Jupiter. Be very mindful of this. Moon and Venus are caring about others. Saturn wants to work for others. These are the three planets when it comes to others. Okay, so next one on our list, human resources and counseling. They may excel in human resources and counseling roles. They may thrive as HR professionals. Not very many good out there, isn't it? I'm sorry. Career counselors, coaches, or in roles that involve supporting and guiding others in their personal or professional development. That's what HR should be doing. The HR goons that are out there in companies now are doing anything but that. They are busy sorting themselves out, sucking up to bosses, that kind of thing. That's why you've got to make the right HR professionals. Probably you should be looking at Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra and Jupiter, Mercury, and Moon. Moon is the caring one. Moon has the emotional content. Venus wants to do for others, and Jupiter gives that knowledge. That's the combination. Legal and advocacy. This is a funny thing that appears in Uttara Phalguni. You might not imagine that, right? May excel in legal and advocacy professions. They may thrive as lawyers, legal advisors, mediators, or in roles that involve advocating for others and resolving conflicts. What is legal profession and judiciary anyway? It's just resolving conflicts, right? So, what are the planets you should be looking for a legal role? It should be Mars, it should be Saturn, and it should be Rahu. Why these three? Mars gives that aggression and drive. Lawyers in the modern day legal professional, like lawyer or judiciary really, requires what? To be present in court and argue your case for your client. So it requires a certain degree of aggression. Mars is required. You can't be a good lawyer without a good Mars, trust me. And then there is the Saturn. Saturn is the lord of dharma and karma. Okay, Saturn, wherever it provides the strength to a legal profession, these people do really well in legal because Saturn loves the rules and the procedures and dictating administration, policy, that kind of a stuff Saturn loves. And Rahu, along with that, will give that shrewdness which is required in a legal profession, in a cunning lawyer, so to speak. Entrepreneurship and business is the last one on our list. May excel in entrepreneurship and business ventures. They may thrive as business owners, consultants, startup founders, or in roles that involve taking risks and managing ventures and achieving financial growth. For those kind of professions, you've got to look in the D1 and D10 chart for Jupiter, Mercury, Rahu, and Mars. Again, look at the stereotypical roles of these planets provide, first of all. Jupiter is knowledge, Mercury is intellectual wisdom only. Rahu provides the shrewd and cunningness. In business these days, you need to be very cunning, isn't it? There's nothing straight. And you require Mars, you require aggression, you require drive. So these are the professions for Uttara Phalguni. Now let's quickly go through the ascendant by ascendant so you'll know what is suitable for you in both D1 and D10. First, I think, however, we will look at the deities of the D10 chart. So following this slide, you will see the D10 deities chart. That should be kept in mind just for the D10 chart, okay? And following that, we will do all the ascendants, all right? Take care. Keep watching. So if you remember, these are the deities which I've given in the introduction to the D10 chart and how to read it in the first video in the playlist. You can look it up. But just to recap, the deities are the archetypes of energies which a person will have, which they bring to the profession in the D10 chart. Now, mind you, these deities or these archetypes are only meant for D10 chart, not so much for D1 chart, okay? Forget the natal chart for the time being, only the Shamsha, the 10th divisional chart. 0 to 3 degrees leadership, 3 to 6 degrees strong work ethic, determined people, 6 to 9 degrees Yama, discipline, strong sense of responsibility, 9 to 12 competitive spirit, 12 to 16 excellent communication skills. Other things are mentioned, I'm quickly recapping. 15 to 18 degrees, they are very dynamic and flexible, quickest to adapt. 18 to 21 degrees is more of financial wealth, astute sensitivity, right? Accountants kind of. 21 to 24 degrees is ability to find purpose and meaning in life. This can once again apply to all kinds of professions, mind you. Just because you're in the medical field doesn't mean you're stuck in hospitals or clinics all the time. You might be able to bring a higher meaning, like Dr. Hegde in India, right? He's bringing a higher meaning to medical science. 24 to 27 degrees is intellectual capability and innovative thinking. 27 to 30 degrees is stability, and long-lasting success. So mind you, all of these 3 degrees and 10 divisions in the D10 chart, in the career chart, are very important to consider. So any planet or point in those particular degrees will have a propensity, will have a drive in that particular direction. That's all it means. It will have that quality. Okay. This is very crucial to understand. So you should understand this when you're determining the qualities of the planet in a D10 chart. Now let's see Pushya Nakshatra, what it brings to the table. So for an Aries ascendant, right, Uttara Phalguni comes to sixth house of daily work routines. Once again, we see the ascendant for direction of which one of this list will be applicable for Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, dominant Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. When I say dominant, what does it mean? More number of planets and points are bunched in or aspect Uttara Phalguni. First is Ashwini. Ashwini, Bharani and Kritika are the 3 nakshatras in Aries ascendant, right? So the ascendant if is in Ashwini. Ashwini is about initiators, leadership and management. Their drive is to aggressively manage everything. Right? Sun does very well in Ashwini as well. Next one will be even legal and advocacy, because 6th house is the house of debts, quarrels, legal fights. So legal and advocacy is there, and Mars in Ashwini will do very well. Also Mars in Uttara Phalguni will do very well, right? Mars, Saturn and Rahu are what we are looking at when we talked about legal profession. Next one is, let's say, Bharani Nakshatra as ascendant. If the ascendant is Bharani Nakshatra and the D10 chart, what would it indicate? Bharani would be more of event planning and hospitality. It's more to do with Venus. Okay, Bharani is ruled by Venus. So there you go. Jupiter, Venus and Sun. That might be good. Human resources and counseling would be good because it's all about dharma. It's ruled by Yama. So it's all about doing the right thing. If you want good HR people, take with ascendant in Bharani and this kind of a combination. Administration. HR is human resource administration, administrative profession. But if it's in Bharani, it will make them do the right thing by default. Don't check their resume, check their Vedic astrology chart. Last one is Kritika Nakshatra. Well, for Kritika Nakshatra, it's more of discernment, again, leadership and management, I would say. It would also be entrepreneurship and business, owning cafes, restaurants, because that has got more to do with the 6th house aspects, daily aspects, very grounded aspects, cooking, chefs, restaurant owners, right? Even event planning and hospitality might also be good with ascendant in Kritika and Uttara Phalguni, because Uttara Phalguni wants to do grounded stuff. It falls in Virgo, right? That might be one of the things. For the Taurus ascendant, Uttara Phalguni falls in the 5th house, creative talents. 5th house is the house of creativity, creative intelligence. What requires creativity here? Well, everything pretty much, other than legal and advocacy. Is a pretty dumb profession. It doesn't require much creativity. The others ones do. So let's go by ascendant. Kritika Nakshatra, once again, entrepreneurship and business is calling. Startup founders, business owners, consultants, business coaches, consultants. Kritika is good at discernment. Yeah, a lot of sharp intellect they have. Talents and abilities, leadership and management is one of them, which is very good for Kritika people. In fact, they hunger for power, which we saw. You can see the Kritika Nakshatra D10 also in the previous series. Rohini is more earth-like in Taurus. Rohini is all about grounded stuff, more business-minded. Entrepreneurship and business is right there in the end of that list. So they'll be good at that. Again, business owners, consultants, startup founders, roles that involves taking risks, managing ventures. In Mrikshisha is more tender, more soft, Devgana. So it's all about creative professions, yes. Event planning and hospitality, definitely yes. Human resources, possible. But I would put the second and the third on the top of that list. Writers, musicians, artists of all kinds, musicians, designers, right? Because Mrikshisha is always hunting for a calling. Remember the themes of Mrikshisha? If you don't know, see the 27 Nakshatra playlist and the future ones I'm making now. The heart of every nakshatra. I'm doing those series parallel to this as well. You can look it up when Uttara Phalguni comes up or Mrikshisha comes up. So that for Taurus ascendant. For Gemini, number three ascendants are possible: Mrikshirsha, Ardra, and Punarvasu. It falls in the fourth house. Fourth house is for home, family matters, home-based business, that kind of a thing. Mrikshirsha, when it comes to heart-centered, you'll do very well in human resources and counseling. Human resources and counseling requires a little bit of heart-centered connection, not the cunning, shrewd variety you find in corporations these days. It requires a little heart-centeredness for career counselors, coaches, life coach, business coach, any coach you can imagine. It requires that heart connection. Fourth house is for heart connection. Home-based business, yes, possible. Brickshisha and home-based business, definitely possible. Well, they can do home-based business of a HR company, for example, their own headhunting. Also, creative professions, yes, they could be doing creative professions as well. For Ardha Nakshatra, it wants to dig deep. Legal and advocacy. Ardha will be good at that. May excel in legal and advocacy. Lawyers, mediators, legal advisors. Ardha Nakshatra, because they can find out the hidden stuff, the hidden agendas of people. Ardha does it naturally. If the ascendant is in Punarvasu, business again, entrepreneurship and business last on that list. That might be good for them. For the Cancer ascendant, it falls in the third house of competition. What requires competition? Leadership, management, yes. Creative artists, musicians, yes, they compete a lot, isn't it, with others. And then entrepreneurship and business. To an extent, legal and advocacy also. So let's see the ascendants. Punarvasu, entrepreneurship and business, leadership and management. If the ascendant is in Punarvasu Nakshatra. If it's in Pusha, Pusha is again a soft Nakshatra. It's about teaching. What requires teaching? Is there anything there that requires teaching? Counseling, Pusha, okay, counseling can be human, they can be career counselors, good career counselors. They can teach youngsters. They can be life coaches, very good life coaches. If you're talking Pusha Nakshatra, they love teaching by default, Pusha ascendants. Leadership and management, more like advisors, I would think. Corporate advisors, legal advisors, even. They're not so much legal bent Pusha Nakshatra, so I would keep that on the side. Consultants to the business owners, startup founders, yes, possible. I know one lady in UK who does this. Ashlesha Nakshatra. Ashlesha is again a more mystical nakshatra. So it might be more about, because it's in Cancer, human resources and counseling. Event management and hospitality, yes, possible. We have to see the other planets also. Definitely possible. Creative professionals, not so much. So I would put it at event planning and human resources part and whatever is listed there. For the Leo ascendant, Uttara Phalguni falls in second house. Virgo falls in the second house. It's mentioned UB Uttara Bhadrapada. Okay. Uttara Phalguni. Never mind. Hasta and Chitra. So Uttara Phalguni falls in second house of values of money making. Whichever money making center here is not so much leadership and management, more of entrepreneurship and business. So let's see how that pans out with the ascendant. Magha Nakshatra, Purva Phalguni and Uttara Phalguni. Right? How does that? This is the another part of Uttara Phalguni which is still in Leo, the first pada. So if it is in Magha Nakshatra, it's about leadership. Leo 101. Magha is all about power and leadership. May excel in managerial and leadership roles. They may thrive as team leaders, executives, department heads, or in positions that require making strategic decisions and managing teams. Magha. So is Purva Phalguni and Uttara Phalguni really. All three are more about management and leadership because it's a value system. Leadership has to have a value, right? They hold certain values and they bring it to the company. For the Virgo ascendant, of course, everything is in the ascendant itself. So any of these planets and points, whichever houses they are situated in, whichever angles of deities they are situated in, and the nakshatra. So you want to visit all these 27 to find out, because usually when you open a chart, D10 chart, there's a splattering of planets everywhere, right? So you've got to go planet by planet, deity by deity, which angle it is propensity towards what is their bent of mind, that's what they'll be good at. Okay. For the Libra ascendant, it falls in the 12th house, Uttara Phalguni. We're talking only the Virgo part, right? So it falls in the 12th house, which is more of foreign lands. You might be going and working in foreign lands in any one of these creative professions, leadership and management, event planning, yes. Human resources counseling, yes. Any of these professions. So first, let's go by ascendant, Libra, Chitra. Chitra Nakshatra is more creative, highly creative in nature. So it might be more about the creative professions, which is event planning and hospitality, yes. Wedding planners, event coordinators, hospitality managers in a foreign country, yes. I saw a Netflix series recently on an event planner in US somewhere. This is the whole second generation of Indians there now, right? Creative professions like musicians, designers, yes, possible. It's working behind the scenes kind of an energy in the 12th house. So even creative professions which are wanting to do things behind the scene, like event planners, might be more of it because they are behind the scenes. Artists come and just do their gig and go. It's the event planners who make everything happen, right? In Swati, it's about individuals. I am an individual. Who am I in the collective? That's Swati's direction. Leadership and management, Swati will make excellent leaderships, excellent leaders. And they might go into not so much legal and advocacy. You got to see Saturn, possible. Entrepreneurship and business, yes, definitely possible. Swati makes very good entrepreneurs. And Vishakha Nakshatra, again, leadership and management, not so much about business. Could be, if you see the position of Jupiter and Mercury, that could be a possibility. When we talk of Scorpio ascendant, Uttara Phalguni falls in the 11th house, which is all about community engagement, going outward into the world, me versus the community, social media. So, what are the possibilities there for Scorpio? Vishakha, again, it is leadership and management, sure. Anuradha, it's more about human resources and counseling. Yes, counseling, Anuradha would make naturally good counselors. They are about hidden human emotions. Emotional connectivity is Anuradha's forte. Okay. And when it comes to Jyeshtha Nakshatra, again, it's management and entrepreneurship and business. Both of them would be suitable for them. So you got to look at those planets and points. For a Sagittarius ascendant, for us beautiful Sagittarians, it falls in the 10th house. So this becomes a career driver for Sagittarius people. So you got to pay close attention to this. We have three ascendants in the Sagittarius. Trashada, Mula, and Purvashada. Mula again loves to dig deep. So it goes on human resources and counseling. Legal and advocacy, yes, because you got to find out the hidden trap that is buried in order to resolve and mediate judicially. So Mula Nakshatra will also be legal professions. Very good lawyers Mula Nakshatra would make because they are sharp in the tongue. They need to talk, argue endlessly in the court. Mula Nakshatra. And leadership and management, not so much. Not, I would think, not. Human resources and counseling and legal is more if the ascendant is in Mula. And there are Uttara Phalguni planets, which I have highlighted there. Uttara Ashada and Purva Ashada, well, both of them are somewhat similar. It's about victory and leadership as well. So Uttara Ashada, Purva Ashada, again, they'll go into leadership and management. Event planning and hospitality, kind of more of entrepreneurship and business and leadership and management roles. Okay. When it comes to Capricorn ascendant, Uttara Phalguni falls in the 9th house. Okay, but the ascendant becoming Uttarashada, Shravana, and Dhanishta. In Uttarashada, again, it's management and business roles, entrepreneurship roles. In Shravana, it's more about teaching. It's a Devgada, so it's wants to teach something. Human resources and counseling would be good. They may make very good business coaches, life coaches, that kind of a thing, because Shravana loves to teach. That's a teaching profession there. And in Dhanishta, again, once again, it's about music and arts, creative professions. They may have a talent for creative professions, actors, musicians, designers, all kinds of designers. That could be a good role. In terms of Aquarius ascendant, the Mavericks, of our life, of our world. Dhanishta, Shatabhisha, and Purva Bhadrapada are in the ascendant. And Uttara Phalguni falls in the 8th house of hidden secrets. So Aquarius will be very good at uncovering hidden secrets. What requires hidden secrets there? Legal and advocacy, right? But in Dhanishta, it might be more about music. In Shatabhisha, it is all about legal and advocacy. They will be very good at that. In Purva Bhadrapada as well, they might be leadership and management and legal and advocacy professions. Yeah. Last, for the Piscean ascendant, it falls right opposite in the 7th house of others. Human resources and counseling comes to mind, but let's see the ascendants. Uttara Bhadrapada, Revati, and Purva Bhadrapada. Uttara Bhadrapada and Purva Bhadrapada, I would think more of leadership and management and entrepreneurship and business because it's all about others. In Revati, also all about leadership and management and entrepreneurship and business. Really speaking, that's all even Revati will give you. Not so much about creativity, event planning, human resources, legal advocacy, just the first and the last in that list. So, to wrap it up, Falguni falls in Virgo. It's a very grounded sign. It's a Manushya Gana, so it'll always do everyday professions. You think about Uttara Phalguni means everyday professions. Brilliant. Everybody is needed in this world, right? So next one we shall cover after Uttara Phalguni, the Hasta Nakshatra, 13th Nakshatra. In the meantime, take care, be safe, have a good day.